Ready. Play.
Coco Gauff against Emma Raducanu. Gauff and Raducanu. Raducanu, of course, coming through today, losing the first set 7-5 to Kudermetova, before then losing just one game over the two following sets. I think it was 11-1 or 1-11. I'm not sure which way around it was. I don't want to get too carried away with Raducanu. I know that we've done that before, and I think we've all been burnt by it. And I'm talking about in the last 4 years since winning the US Open. It's like Raducanu's back. I know there's a lot of people getting quite excited about her movement on the surface. Again, Kudermetova is not bad. You know, listen, I remember Iga Swiatek in 2023 in the mixed zone in Madrid saying basically, listen, she can't move on clay. So this is regarding Kudermetova, and she'd just beaten her in the semis there. And Iga's not going to say too many bad. And she wasn't mean. It just sort of came out the way she said it. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, by the way. So, you know, if we're comparing Raducanu on the clay to Kudermetova on the clay, well, maybe Emma is, as she displayed today, the better of the two on the surface. But against Coco, well, if she wins this one, then I'll have to be reevaluating my thoughts. But yeah, what about you? What are you thinking about Coco and Emma in general?
I remember their Australian Open match. It was like kind of funny because everybody was saying it's trash because of the winners unforced errors. It's like, 10 winners, 40 unforced errors for Emma or something like that. But I actually think the match was pretty good. I mean, obviously she couldn't hit through her eventually, but she was making a good effort. On clay, though, that maybe might be even more difficult. I mean, Coco obviously, just had a good win in Madrid over Iga, or good win. I mean, she was handed the match, but still confidence builder for sure. Can't beat Arina in the final, but that's okay. Seems to be pretty much flying. I know she had like some sort of MTO in her previous round, but it was seemingly just her, injuring her leg, but not in the sense that it would keep up. It's just like, I don't know, some blood or whatever. So I don't think it's a concern. Well, Emma, yeah, as you said, I mean, it's important to remember that we shouldn't just like say, oh yeah, she's gonna win a slam in a moment. Is she, when playing well, still like a top 30-ish level player right now? Sure, I don't doubt that, but I haven't really seen any indication that she's gonna be like beating top guns left and right, not since the US Open run at least. And yeah, I mean, in these conditions, I don't know if I quite buy it. But, obviously one of the most kind of like, let's say, media heavy matchups, right? Because both of them have so many sponsorships, deals, and basically are among the most popular players on the planet.
But so therefore you could probably guess I'm thinking that Coco is a warm favorite here. I think that'll still rank as a pretty good tournament for Emma, even if she goes out, especially if she has some honor in that.
It's already good. Yeah, it's already good.
Yeah. I just don't think we'll ever probably have an Emma Raducanu in a French Open final, for example. I mean, we might not ever have her in a Grand Slam final again, full stop. I just think it's so difficult to say with Emma, because I think I've changed my mind a few times. And so now I just stop making calls in terms of her career, at least until I see some consistency.
No, I mean, but Roland Garros is obviously the least likely.
Exactly. If you said to me she's going to be in a Wimbledon final one day, yeah, okay, all right,
why not?
Fine.
I mean, she was in the fourth round last year, quarters before. Yeah, I mean, it opened up. I mean, quarters she made before, right? No,
I thought it was fourth round.
Oh, maybe it was fourth round as well. Yeah, when she had these was like panic attack or something like that against Tomljanovic. Yeah, sure, that was fourth round, and Tomljanovic played Barty in the quarters. Yeah, so a couple of fourth rounds.
Yeah, so there's another deep run there, and may even be this year. Who knows? But yeah, Roland Garros is always going to be the more difficult one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready. Play.
Coco Gauff against Emma Raducanu. Gauff and Raducanu. Raducanu, of course, coming through today, losing the first set 7-5 to Kudermetova before then losing just one game over the two following sets. I think it was love and 1 or 1 and love. I'm not sure which way around it was. I don't want to get too carried away with Raducanu. I know that we've done that before, and I think we've all been burnt by it. And I'm talking about in the last 4 years since winning the US Open. It's like Raducanu's back. I know there's a lot of people getting quite excited about her movement on the surface. Again, Kudermetova is not bad. You know, listen, I remember Iga Swiatek in 2023 in the mixed zone in Madrid saying basically, listen, she can't move on clay. So this is regarding Kudermetova, and she'd just beaten her in the semis there. And Iga's not going to say too many bad. And she wasn't mean. It just sort of came out the way she said it. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, by the way. So, you know, if we're comparing Raducanu on the clay to Kudermetova on the clay, well, maybe Emma is, as she displayed today, the better of the two on the surface. But against Coco, well, if she wins this one, then I'll have to be reevaluating my thoughts. But yeah, what about you? What are you thinking about Coco and Emma in general?
I remember their Australian Open match. It was like kind of funny because everybody was saying it's trash because of the winners unforced errors. It's like, 10 winners, 40 unforced errors for Emma or something like that. But I actually think the match was pretty good. I mean, obviously she couldn't hit through her eventually, but she was making a good effort. On clay, though, that maybe might be even more difficult. I mean, Coco obviously, just had a good win in Madrid over Iga, or good win. I mean, she was handed the match, but still confidence builder for sure. Can't beat Arina in the final, but that's okay. Seems to be pretty much flying. I know she had like some sort of MTO in her previous round, but it was seemingly just her, injuring her leg, but not in the sense that it would keep up. It's just like, I don't know, some blood or whatever. So I don't think it's a concern. Well, Emma, yeah, as you said, I mean, it's important to remember that we shouldn't just like say, oh yeah, she's gonna win a slam in a moment. Is she, when playing well, still like a top 30-ish level player right now? Sure, I don't doubt that, but I haven't really seen any indication that she's gonna be like beating top guns left and right. Not since the US Open run, at least. And yeah, I mean, in these conditions, I don't know if I quite buy it. But, obviously one of the most kind of like, let's say, media heavy matchups, right? Because both of them have so many sponsorships, deals, and basically are among the most popular players on the planet.
But so therefore you could probably guess I'm thinking that Coco is a warm favorite here. I think that'll still rank as a pretty good tournament for Emma, even if she goes out, especially if she has some honor in that.
It's already good. Yeah, it's already good.
Yeah. I just don't think we'll ever probably have an Emma Raducanu in a French Open final, for example. I mean, we might not ever have her in a Grand Slam final again, full stop. I just think it's so difficult to say with Emma because I think I've changed my mind a few times. And so now I just stop making calls in terms of her career, at least until I see some consistency.
No, I mean, but Roland Garros is obviously the least likely.
Exactly. If you said to me she's going to be in a Wimbledon final one day, yeah, okay, all right,
why not?
Fine.
I mean, she was in the fourth round last year, quarters before. Yeah, I mean, it opened up. I mean, quarters she made before, right? No,
I thought it was fourth round.
Oh, maybe it was fourth round as well. Yeah, when she had these was like panic attack or something like that against Tomljanovic. Yeah, sure, that was fourth round, and Tomljanovic played Barty in the quarters. Yeah, so a couple of fourth rounds.
Yeah, so there's another deep run there, and may even be this year. Who knows? But yeah, Roland Garros is always going to be the more difficult one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
My name is Zainab Sammaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hey, I was on mute. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is in the world, wherever you are tuning in from. I am here at the moment alone, but I believe Brenna should be joining me shortly to follow along to this Coco Gauff, Emma Raducanu round of 16 encounter in Rome with the winner. Let's have a look at the draw actually to see where the winner would be placed. I should have that up pretty quickly for you. Of course, we had Peyton Stearns beating Osaka earlier today in a third set tiebreak. Not sure if it's that side. No, of course, it's Clara Towson, Mida Andreeva. I can see it on my screen right now. So the winner of this match will play the winner of that match. So things won't get any easier for either of these two players, whichever emerges the victor. Mida Andreeva, I think, is a warm favorite in that one. I think I made that call in the predictions and previews shows that you can see on our YouTube channel. Do check that out. And of course, in the meantime, please on this video, hit the like button. And if you haven't already done so, hit subscribe. Coco Gauff winning the only encounter in the past between these two players. She's also obviously won 10 career titles. I'm not seeing the Emma Raducanu stats up yet, but I'm pretty sure she's only won one title, albeit that was the US Open. So Coco Gauff and Emma Raducanu have something in common there in terms of the fact that they have both won a US Open. But then Coco has added 9 other titles to that. Coco Gauff, by the way, her highest ever ranking is 2, and she will, whatever happens now at this tournament, return to that ranking with Iga Swiatek, I think, dropping to 4 in the world after her loss to Daniel Collins on Saturday. Daniel Collins, of course, is coming up against Alina Svitolina. In fact, that match might already be underway. Let's share some scores with you on the screen as well. I can see on the men's side, Giron and Hurkacz are into a third set. Cerundolo is already up a break on Ufner. And Mensik emerging. That was a really tough one to call. I think in the end I did just lean Mensik. But Tommy Paul as well, by the way, was in a very comfortable position with Mahatch. Before that, went really dodgy. And in the end, he had to get it done in the third set. De Minaur, probably not too surprisingly, beating Delien. So he's now into the round of 16. Of course, these are all round of 32s. The women are at the round of 16 stage. Keep up at the back. Svitolina and Collins has yet to get underway, but will be getting underway shortly. Paulini won the first set of Ostapenko. That's a pretty exciting one as well. Ostapenko, when she sort of starts going, she does go far. And she's in the round of 16, but she has lost the first set to the number 6 seed, Jasmine Paolini. And Schneider earlier on beating Elise Mertens, also in straight sets, or I should say in straight sets. Let's have a quick look at the draw and see how that's panning out. I can see somebody's already in the live chat. I will come to the live chat shortly. Of course, I'm on the WTA website, which is an absolute mess. So trying to find the draw, I should go back to the Italian Open website where I can maybe negotiate that a little bit quicker than the mess that is the WTA website, which they've just had a revamp on and they've spent millions on to not much avail, especially when it comes to previous matches in head-to-heads. That's particularly frustrating. I can hear Brenner whenever he's ready. He can join me. I'm just looking at the draw, Brenner, by the way. Let's have a look.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Sabalenka, of course, beating Potapova. Yes, that was a couple of rounds ago. Let's get to the round of 16 where we're at now. So Sabalenka or Kostyuk will play Andreescu or Zheng. Andreescu, she's having a nice little run, isn't she?
She is. She is.
I mean, quietly, didn't expect her to, get past Raducanu, but here we are.
From this group here, this is the round of 16 group. We've got 8 players, so I guess one of these is making the final. Gauff is the... Oh, it's Stas Sabalenka. Sabalenka or Gauff. I think on this surface, if we just saw them play each other in Madrid, Sabalenka and Gauff, and it was super close, Gauff was serving for the second set, could easily have gone 3, and then who knows. But those conditions are slightly more favorable for Arena, and these are slightly more favorable for Coco. So that should close that gap.
Agreed. And for me, I mean, Coco has just continued to, check every box that, she's supposed to. I'm kind of waiting for, a slip up or a situation, but she, continues to get through each test. So I don't know. I'm still thinking that Andreeva has an opportunity, but
yeah. It's really pretty stacked. This I'm gonna have to look at the other half of the draw because there's sort of 3 standout, as I didn't even think about Andreeva, but of course very much so. And then on this side of the draw, wow, well, this is much more open. Let's say where the winner of Paulini Ostapenko, but Peyton can do something. Svitolina is pretty good on this surface too. Schneider's already there. I mean, I'm just basically saying everybody really has a chance.
Yeah, no, they do. I think you have to think about Svitolina there in terms of her, all court consistency and having been in some of those moments more recently. I would say she's the next level, I guess, in that sort of tier. But
tricky to pick a best surface for Svitolina, actually.
Right. That's a good point. So we are underway.
Yeah.
Where are you, John?
I'm pretty sure you'll be ahead of me. I'm at love 15 on the Coco serve, and they're in the middle of a fairly moonball-ish rally.
Okay.
And I've just done a
I can
slide.
adjust you.
Emma go into the net, so it's 15 all.
Beautiful.
Dan, I'm pretty sure Dan is British because I think his questions tend to be more British orientated. Can I see Jack Draper winning a Grand Slam title soon? I think as soon as you had the word soon, that's when it's sort of like, yeah, I guess your definition of soon is this year or next. I'm going to go with this year or next. No. Career, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right there with you. I just think that Wimbledon is such an opportunity at this point.
Absolutely.
And he is deservingly a top 4 player there. But, best of 5 just changes everything a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that US Open run last year, I don't think until he met Yannick, he didn't really leak too many sets.
Exactly.
And that probably helped him. Botic beating Carlos as well really opened things up for him. And of course, he got the job done there in straights. But yeah, I mean, it's a very different conversation now to what it would have been even 3 months ago, pre-Indian Wells, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously we still have a little bit of time until that seeding drops, but he should, kind of sleepwalk his way as long as he doesn't run into Nori into a quarterfinal, and then from there you have to beat one of the guys. So
yeah, that's the thing. I don't really know where Jack is right now compared to Alcaraz and Sinner. I know he played Alcaraz in Indian Wells. One-off occasion, maybe Carlos has a slight off day. Jack, plays incredibly well. Coco has indeed held the first game in the end, despite losing 2 points on her serve there. Yeah, I just don't know. 5 sets, Grand Slam. Those 2 are still very much the players to beat. I'm okay to listen to an alternative to this, but perhaps on the natural surfaces, you might still lean towards Carlos. Especially as we still need to see, how Yannick does here and then in Hamburg next week. If he wins one of those 2 titles and, if he maybe beats Carlos here in Rome, for example, well, then suddenly, that conversation pre-French Open changes. But we saw last year, think about pre-Wimbledon, it was Yannick who was in form. It was Yannick who won Halle, and it was Carlos who lost to the aforementioned Jack Draper in Queens. Yep. And yet, Carlos in the end ended up winning the title fairly easily. I think Yannick had 1 or 2 physical issues in his loss to Daniel Medvedev from memory, but that's not Carlos's fault, of course.
Right, right. No, I think you're spot on with that analysis in terms of it's just hard. I don't know either in terms of where does he stack up against them. How does he look across once again like a best of 5? That's where I mentioned that because that's where it just you have to prove yourself over a longer period of time, and against those guys, that's just we don't really have anyone who can hang out on that level. So
yeah. Emma, by the way, has lost the first 2 points on serve here. What have you made of Emma Raducanu? A lot of people, obviously, particularly from the UK, very excited about her winning some matches on clay. But this is more of a litmus test, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're getting almost what we expected. I know that was like definitely a different match as it was supposed to be Alexandrova in that previous round or 2 rounds ago. So that changed things a little bit, right? And then, for her, it's like kind of a similar situation in terms of, just checking boxes, what we know, and like how is it evolving at least. And I think we've seen a little bit throughout this little run, but yeah, just exposure I think is important for her. Like getting just a few wins under her belt each week is important moving forward.
Coco looks like she's in the groove at the moment.
Yeah.
Even the forehand was looking pretty good in that previous rally. Yeah, it's funny how Coco is very comfortable on this surface, from the North American, traditionally more hard court, and even grass actually tends to be a pretty good domain for the Americans. And yet, yeah, she's a very, very current. Well, obviously currently, I mean, she's the American number 1. So, but she's probably quite far ahead of the field on this surface, I would suggest, compared to her compatriots.
100%.
Who would you say is the second best from the US?
I know. Let's think here.
Yeah, I'd have to.
I wouldn't go Pegula and I wouldn't go Keys.
You wouldn't go Keys because that might be one on this surface.
Yeah.
On this surface,
yeah, because she has that ability to hit through the conditions a little bit more, and like Pegula as a mover, that's where it's a little bit more tough. But yeah, I think Keys is a good one. Navarro is more like savvy of a mover. She can get troubled by the big hitters.
I think I'm going Keys. Yeah, I mean, she won Strasbourg last year. She also won another.
Right.
I think she might have won 2 tournaments on clay last year.
Yeah.
Actually.
Stearns is in the conversation now. Yeah, Super Dave.
Yeah, she
I
is.
feel like she's.
If we go North America, then I think Layla is pretty good at moving on this surface.
Yep.
But I still think Keys has another gear. She's someone as well. I mean, the thing is on clay for Keys is she hasn't quite, excuse the pun, managed to unlock the Iga conundrum on this surface. She obviously very much did so on a fast hard court in Australia, but the occasions she comes up against Iga, it's normally pretty tough. I know she took a set off her in Madrid recently, but still ended up losing that match, of course. By the way, Coco Gauff has got the break here. And Emma, I think she won 1 point on her serve in that previous game.
Yeah,
nice attacking return of serve though there from Emma, which has helped her win the first point on Coco's serve. This is maybe kind of already the pattern and the way this match is going is maybe kind of how I thought. I thought it would be difficult for Emma to get a foothold in this match. I mean, of course, there's a long way to go, but I always saw this as being a Coco in straights more than a third set tie break.
Right. It's interesting. I mean, Coco so far standing very, very centrally, and the forehand, as you mentioned, been in good control, hitting with a lot of topspin and fairly safe. And Raducanu is just kind of playing pass, and hasn't done enough.
Emma, really, it's all about partly because of her nationality, but also because I think of her success on the surface. The grass season is huge for her, and not quite every win, but almost many of these wins she gets on clay, it's almost like, well, that's a bonus. That'll see her go up the rankings. That'll see her maybe get seeded for slams. And then when it comes to the grass court season, she's just got to be fit and firing. And that's where a tournament could be won. And I'm not saying Wimbledon. Of course, I'm thinking about, one of the build-up tournaments, perhaps,
100%.
where she had a good win against Pegula last year, for example. I think in Birmingham or Eastbourne, one of those two.
Yep.
This year, of course, Birmingham's downgraded to 125, but we've got I don't know if it's called Queens, but it's basically at the Queens location, which is a
yeah.
100.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, grass season, it comes quick and fast.
Yeah,
and
right,
so do the results.
Yeah.
You got to take every opportunity.
We're not yet. I'm about to probably put the curse on this, but we're not yet seeing any sort of sprayed forehands from Coco. But she's being peppered on that side. In fact, that was nice. Emma was just cranking it up with every single shot, and she produced a really lovely angle off a slightly short ball to end up hitting a forehand winner there.
Yeah, and you're about to see again, like Coco weathering these returns really well, especially off the forehand. So,
but Emma also knows that Coco has a dilemma on the forehand. At one point, at what point does Coco go, look, there are three possibilities with my forehand. One is it stays solid and it's deep, but I'm not doing any damage with it, but I am at least, just staying solid on that. Or do I pull the trigger? And of course, that can go one of two ways. That's a lovely bit of depth there, as you highlighted, for Coco to get to 30 all. And I think she's erring more to that sort of more conservative option of just, you know what? You can keep coming for my forehand. I'll just stay solid on it. And as and when I get a chance to win the point, I'll take it. But I'm not likely to necessarily do that on the forehand. I sometimes watch Coco and I can see her mind going. It's like, here is a chance to really make a huge step forward in this rally and maybe even hit a winner on the forehand side. Look at that return from Emma, by the way.
Yeah.
She's got that dilemma all the time. Now, I don't know if that will always be the case in her career. She does go through spells, even tournaments, Coco, where it's like, oh, I think the forehand's not a problem anymore. And then a couple of tournaments later, it's like the double faults as well. Anyway, break point here for Emma. I'll come back to you in a second, Brenner, and you can respond to any of the aforementioned thoughts that I've bared. Emma just sticking it down the middle at the moment. In fact, both players are sticking it like that, almost like they're just having a hit. It is Emma who maybe tries to pick things up on the backhand side a little bit. Good depth there, though, from Coco. Now she's on that forehand, and again, she's gone for the drop shot, but that's far too high, surely. But Emma doesn't do enough. Emma, you got to punish that drop shot.
Yeah, that's definitely a terrible bounce, but also, you have to. You have to do more. Here. You have to do more with it. Yeah, spot on, John. Like Coco, I feel like since she has so much time, there's it's a blessing and a curse in terms of
that could well have been some of the backspin as well on that. I mean, what as soon as it came off her racket, I was like, oh my goodness me, just because it was so high.
Yep.
I mean, there's sort of two things you want to really do is not have it too high. Of course, you need to have that sort of loopiness to the drop shot in itself. And then, of course, you want it to drop as close to the net as possible on the other side. And then obviously have as much backspin as possible. It kind of had the backspin, but it just came off her racket so high that I thought maybe Emma was a little slow to chase it down as well. But in the end, that little bit of spin and maybe a funny bounce as well, as Emma goes big on the return, and that had borne fruit for her in previous points in this game. But it is Coco who holds as she hits that forehand return long. And that's a little bit of danger averted there for Coco.
Yeah, and on this surface, kind of like you were saying, is Coco, I feel like she's a little bit more content to play conservative, especially to start matches, because when you can rely on your defense and your instincts a little bit more, that just allows you to gain more rhythm. So I feel like we're seeing that so far here. She's happy to move left and right horizontally and counter punch anything she can. Yeah, it looks like we have some new members in the chat.
Yeah, right. Drubujo, I'm not sure I've seen you before, but if not, can you please hit subscribe? Jeremy as well is saying Ale Coco. And Dan here, Brenna, which tennis tournaments are you going to? I think you can also look at that both ways. You can look at tennis tournaments you've been to in the past, and maybe a tournament that you'd love to go to in the future.
Yeah, I mean there are plenty in Europe that I'd like to get. To.
Which one would be top of your?
Well, I want to go to, I'd say, the Queens.
Oh, okay.
Queens tournament. I want to go to a grass tournament out there. Obviously, I've been to Newport, and I look forward to going to that tournament again. I mean, I would just say like all the tournaments, but yeah. And then I've been lucky to see all the surfaces now, but I'd like to get to an indoor hard tournament. Probably Rotterdam is one I want to go to.
I've done Paris-Bercy, which is I think moving locations.
It is. A whole new experience.
I was there in 22. I saw Tommy Paul come from a set and a breakdown to beat Rafa. That might be the only. Might be. Oh well, I mean, I've done indoor clay Stuttgart last year.
Yep.
But yeah, indoor hard at Paris-Bercy is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. I've done Davis Cup, Billie Jean King as well. Just sort of So then I think about it, a few more. Anyway, Raducanu's serving here at Love 3. Important. Yeah. Can have a quick look at the draw. I'm gonna have a look at the draw on the men's side as well because I'm not too familiar.
Yeah. Hurkacz just came through against Garon.
Did he? Okay, because I saw he was quite badly down in the second.
He returned the favor, 6-1.
So here is some matches we've got. That's a nice draw for Draper, I think. I mean, Mute can be a funny opponent, but Mute, if it's Mute or Runa on clay, you're thinking not because Mute's no good on clay, but I just think that Runa's pedigree on this surface is phenomenal already at his age. Just a lovely backhand winner there from Coco. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't much bounce on it, but she managed to get a really nice flat down the line winner off that slice. And the slice wasn't bad. It had good depth. So just having a quick look here at the men's, this little section here. This is sort of top part of the bottom half. So is Alcaraz in the same half as Zverev? I think he is.
Yes.
So there's that section there, yeah. So Alcaraz Zverev is a potential semi-final. I do think Alcaraz Khachanov for me. I unless Alcaraz has a weird day, which I know he can produce a couple of times a year, but I just
I would say that Laslo Djere, poses like a more threat.
Yeah, maybe
more like weapons on the surface.
It's just Khachanov is just a really, really good tennis player, but he's just someone that is always going to really struggle against someone like Alcaraz or Sinner, just because there's just no big, huge weapons. There's nothing he can do. There's nothing. Even a Mute can do some weird stuff, or even as you said it with the Gera or Marajan.
Yep.
As well, these guys can do strange things to some of the best players in the world, and every now and again, Khachanov just doesn't have that in his locker. I like him, but he's a sort of quarterfinalist, semi-finalist, day in, day out kind of player.
Yep.
Musetti. So therefore, we could have Draper and Alcaraz. That'll be fascinating. And I think I tipped Musetti with confidence and Zverev with not much confidence. But they were the tips I made.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to maybe get used to this Zverev-Fils clash, which is great.
They have. I mean, Hamburg was amazing last year. By the way, we've got a break point here for Coco Gauff. Yeah. So that's just gone long there. 30-40 on the Emma serve. Let's see how this pans out. Emma will be keen to get a first serve in here.
Yeah.
Coco looking ready to pounce. She does get the first serve in, but it's actually pretty comfortably in the box and probably didn't go close enough to the line. As a result, Coco has a decent advantage in this rally. Emma defending with a loopy moon ball. It's going to be a forehand from the baseline. She could have gone for the smash on that one, but I understand the temptation there just to go on the forehand. And as a result, though, she does lose the momentum in the rally and Emma actually saves that break point, so we're back to deuce.
Yeah, good backhand play from Raducanu. I feel like she might be even still underrated in that wing, but really moves well and hits it beautifully.
Yeah, Zverev Fils, part 8, I think, of their rivalry. They've played each other 7 times already. I think
it is, yeah.
Zverev is 4-3 in that head-to-head.
Right, yeah. No, it is. It's definitely it's a good clash. Fils is such an exciting player. Kind of don't know what version of Fils is going to show up in this match, but if it's anywhere close to his level, I mean, you kind of find it. He used that little point against Tsitsipas as some fuel and kind of ran with it, and that's when he can be scary. And it's a beautiful backhand to save game point from Coco. So another deuce.
I mean, they've both got good backhands. I would go more for Coco on the
100%.
backhand side. It's just partly also just because Emma's sort of probably a little bit more evenly balanced in terms of the forehand and the backhand, whereas we all know which is a strength and a weakness for Coco. Yeah, I think that might just clip the net. In fact, I'm pretty sure it did because Coco apologized that game point save from the American.
Yeah, Dan, the Olympics coming to LA in 3 years' time. That's exciting. Laver Cup is going to San Francisco. Are you from the States, Dan? What area?
I wasn't sure if Dan was. This is Dan you're talking about, is it?
Yep.
I thought he might be British. He tends to have a lot of British orientation. But he might not. But he might be. He's also switched. He was on Twitch earlier, and he's switched over, I think, to YouTube to talk to us from there. Cincy or Toronto, hoping to do Indian Wells as well.
Beautiful.
Game point now for Emma.
Got it.
So I wonder if Ghosty is talking about Peyton Stearns. That's what I'm talking about. It's either her or Daniel Collins. Daniel Collins, I don't think yet to start her match. Yeah, not quite.
Yeah, I mean, now we're getting into I know it's already important just given the scoreline, but now, a little bit longer of a game. Can Emma get that hold, make an impact on the next Coco service game?
Good serving to the body there from Emma, picking up another game point. Just glad Emma's remaining healthy. Yeah, indeed. I think that's probably, from the last 2 years. Of course, she has added a new fitness coach. I say new, it's probably maybe even getting on for a year now. Certainly, I think it was sometime towards the end of last year that she added a fitness coach to her team. And that does seem to have done the trick, at least for now, because, yeah, I can't remember too many injuries from her in the last, as she held serve, by the way, for 1-3. Can't remember too many injuries of note anyway in the last couple of years or last year. Blisters were certainly a problem for her in the past. Obviously, she had the wrist operations. I think she had a double wrist operation, I think maybe in 23, that basically put her out until the beginning of 2024.
Yeah, it looks like Ostapenko letting that one get away from her a bit. I don't know what the first set was like, but I know it was 5-6, 30 all.
I mean, Ostapenko, she's had her Stuttgart moment.
Yep.
She'll probably, be motivated again for the French Open, no doubt. I'm not saying she's not motivated today. It could just be Paolini playing better. But maybe Paolini needs this Italian Open run a little bit more.
Totally.
Nice forehand winner there for Coco to got 30 love. Things looking pretty comfortable for her in this set.
Did Iala and Coco win another doubles match?
Don't know,
yesterday?
actually. Don't know.
Yeah, gotta get an update on that.
So I know maybe they're due to play later on today. Did they
I
win
wouldn't
yesterday?
be surprised.
They won. Did they win? I've got a result here, and it's from 18 hours ago. At least that's when it's posted.
Yeah.
They
Okay,
won
so
in
they
straight
did play
sets.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, and they won in straight sets against Panova and Stoller.
Love it. Oh, I didn't realize we have Sabalenka Kostiuk
In doubles?
tonight. No.
Oh,
I didn't realize that match was tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. All the women's round of 16s are today.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look at the doubles draw now.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got Irani and Paolini. Yeah, Paolini's playing a lot of golf. A lot of tennis. Yeah, Iala and Gauff, I think, is today against the Italian duo of Grant and Pigato. And if they were to win that, I think they would come up against Irani and Paolini.
Wow.
So, yeah, there you go.
I mean, I don't know much about doubles. I'm open about that, but I wonder if it's good to have a lefty and a righty.
Yeah. I've spoken to the guys from the doubles podcast, the Tennis Tribe, about this before.
Yeah.
And it is a thing. It's not like a guarantee of success. It's not necessarily, a must. It's not even necessarily something. It's always like, yep, that's a thing, and it does seem to be pretty cool. But there's obviously so few lefties on tour. It looks like Coco should hold, and she does. Yeah, 4-1. But yes, it is a thing. It is a thing, and it is a. Yeah, it's a yeah. I don't know what to say. I don't want to say an advantage, but it is something there to be taken advantage of. Hi, Jake.
Is Jake on site now?
Oh, he's in Portugal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him posting from WordAsh earlier.
Yeah. Eubanks is there. Wow.
Is he in WordAsh?
Yeah.
Okay. I know we've got one in Bordeaux and Turin. I think they might be starting tomorrow, though. I think that's sort of, did all they could to sort of maximize their chances of getting people coming from Rome, including Nakashima, who lost yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
I know Wawrinka. I'm talking about Bordeaux. I know Wawrinka is going to Bordeaux as well. It's a wild card.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jake is watching Eubanks right now.
Yeah.
That center court is pretty cool. In WordAsh.
It is. Beautiful.
Not all challenges, but WordAsh is another one of the challenges. I'm pretty sure that it's free to enter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as a fan, yeah. Marrakesh 250 free.
I know.
Well. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How is that area, John?
The Marrakesh one?
Yeah.
I mean, you've kind of I don't know Marrakesh that well. I've been 2 or 3 times in my life, but you've got, I guess, off the top of my head, I would say 2 or 3 types of area. You've got downtown, which is sort of where the big mosque will be. I think alcohol is prohibited in this, certainly in certain parts of the sort of downtown part. Then you'll have some sort of leafy-ish suburbs, which you can probably guess is where the tennis is opposite, some very nice hotels. Yeah. And then, of course, you'll have the more impoverished parts. And yeah, it's only about half an hour walk from the city center.
Okay.
From where the tennis is. Super safe, well, I say safe. The biggest issue you have, especially when you're downtown, is motorbikes. They're just flying everywhere, down every back alley, and you just got to have your wits about you. Yeah. But yeah.
Do go crazy. Yeah, I mean, Coco looking good here, just in terms of feeling comfortable enough to use, proper variety.
Oh, that's
Using in the slice a lot.
sublime.
Yeah. I mean, court coverage is just like unreal.
Yeah. For the French Open right now, every sort of loss for Iga,
I know.
not diminishes her chances, but let's just say that percentage that if you said in January, what are the odds on Iga winning the French Open, you probably would have gone something like 70, 80%. But every loss, that comes down by another couple of percent. And now, maybe for the first time in a few years, I think I would take the field over Iga. So I would have her at less than 50% chance of winning the title.
Like, yes. And even on paper, you start to think that, especially given what we might expect Sabalenka to do here. At least going far, it doesn't even matter if she wins the title or not. Just, she's been close to perfect almost all season.
Yeah.
And, just from like an on paper type of perspective, trying to eliminate bias, you just have to slightly lean that way. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think the clay changes things a bit in terms of who can really, really contend. But yeah, I think at this point you do have to lean the field, which is even saying something.
Yeah. She's still favorite for me. I think she probably couldn't have had a much worse clay court season. I mean, of course, she can go out around earlier in every tournament she plays, but Iga's. I said the other day that normally she's a pretty safe bet to at least make the quarters or semis, even during this bad spell. And yet, next day she loses to Danielle Collins as Coco Gauff does get the break and will serve for the first set 5-1. Emma managed to stave off the first 2 break points at love 40, but wasn't able to stave off the third. And now it's Coco looking in a very healthy position to at least take this first set, quite possibly with a breadstick. Regarding French Open now, I would say it's Iga favorite, but it's close. It's like, I don't know how to put percentages on it, but let's say 40% Iga, maybe 30% Sabalenka, Gauff 25%, something like this, and then sort of 5% everybody else. Something like that. I'm thinking. To be honest with you, those three, Sabalenka, Swiatek, and Gauff are really quite closely bunched together.
Yeah.
Mira Andreeva as well.
I was going to say, she's right there, and Raducanu is probably the next one, unless it's Paulini.
Raducanu fifth, would you?
Yeah, like I would, but I mean, I just feel like there's no, I guess, there's nothing telling me that she should do something.
Just history.
Yeah. But yeah, you have to at least include Paulini as well.
Yeah. I just think that Paulini eventually comes up against someone and she just can't quite live with them. She hangs on as much as she possibly can. She hung on to Iga for about 3 games in the French Open last year, and then it got away from her and it was never coming back.
Yeah.
Even on clay, Sabalenka, she can come through, and she has, I think, beaten Raducanu on clay. I've got a clay match in my mind somewhere. Was it French Open last year? Maybe Paulini, Raducanu, head-to-head. I'm going to have a look now. Of course, the WTA website doesn't show us the matches anymore, does it? I was just lamenting that. Yeah, so Paulina leads the head-to-head 3-2, and I think one of them came last season on clay. I'm just trying to remember whether it was the French Open or not. Okay. Yeah, French Open last year. Yeah. Oh, Raducanu what? No, Raducanu didn't win that one. She must have lost it. Yeah. So Paulini beat Raducanu in 3 sets at the French Open last year in the quarterfinal, I think. Yeah, quarterfinal. Yeah. I saw my problem with Paulini is I can see her going so far, and she may well go further than Raducanu. If you said to me who's going further, Raducanu or Paulini, I might well back Paulini. If you said to me who's winning the tournament, it's funny enough, I would go the other way, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Set points here now for Coco.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that break point, John. I don't know. It happened.
I
maybe
saw
couple
a
minutes
loop
ago, but it was
beforehand.
it was
Raducanu.
impressive. I mean, Coco looking more confident with each shot, really going for it, and then when she just gets it backhand, like has so much time to load up cross court, it's just so hard to deal with that pace.
Azarenka. Jake likes Azarenka. You get pretty good odds on that for sure.
Yeah, Muhova, she just retired.
She's just injured again, right?
Yeah, she withdrew from Rome.
Rome, she did, I think, on the eve of the tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, really? I didn't know this was even a conversation. But
yeah,
so that's good. I mean, retiring on the day before is signs of okay. We had
the thing is, there was wrist issues, by the way, which is
yeah, I know.
Don't know, it's a bit of a concern, the wrist.
Yeah.
A couple of set points or 3 set points, I think, have come and gone for Coco.
Yeah.
So we are at deuce. And Raducanu she had a break point, I think, on the Coco serve, didn't she, in that game that there was the drop shot. And that's basically been her only look at the Coco serve. Or maybe even Emma Raducanu's surgery, Ghosty. I know Liam Brody, his coach from a couple of years ago, said to me that Liam had the same issue that Emma had. Emma went for surgery, Liam didn't. But I think there was very much a case of Liam was 30 years old, something like that. Emma, 21, could write off a season. Liam probably can't afford to write off seasons and decided to sort of manage it, if you like. And I think he got a third round at Wimbledon that year as well, before losing to Shapovalov. But that's the path you take. He then gets in the top 100, and that was kind of it. I think he had then some other injury issues as well, and is now grinding somewhere on the tour.
Yeah.
He'll probably get a wild. Let me see where his ranking is for Liam. I mean, probably get a wild card for Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, how many do they give out, John? You know this stuff better than me.
8, I think, altogether. Sort of 6. So Liam's ranking right now is 632. I just don't know how far they can go down.
Right.
So
is it numeric based or is it name based?
So I mean, it's a bit of everything, but it's not an exact science.
Okay.
Just looking at this break point for Emma. She's on the back foot. Coco should win the point from here, but Emma's back in it. No, she's not. Juice. It's not an exact science, but you will probably get some of the normal horse trading. So there'll probably be a wild card for a French person, an Australian, and maybe an American. And then I think the other 5 will be British. And it's just a case of who's in the top 100 at the time. What will go in Liam's favour is his track record at Wimbledon.
Right.
You know, some wins there over Casper Ruud, for example. And I think 2 third rounds, Diego Schwartzman as well. So, yeah, I think he's had 2 third rounds at Wimbledon. So that's something that would be in his favour more than, say, Hoinski, who will also be a very likely wild card. But Hoinski's got the fact that he's probably, I don't know, 200 in the world right now. Let's have a look. Hoinski ranking. 187. So, yeah. Set point here for Coco. I know Tim Henman used to be on the sort of panel that would help decide the wildcards at Wimbledon.
Is there some drama in the Paulini match, or just?
Oh, really?
I don't know. Everyone's talking.
So Liam is not even in the top 10 British ranked males. Right?
Yeah, that's how I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I think you're right. That's what I'm saying. If there is a little bit of mixture in terms of history, name bias, etc.
Let's see what Oliver Crawford's ranking is.
That's what I was gonna say. I bet he's in front of him.
500, yeah.
Yeah, Jay Clark, Johannes Monday. Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
actually,
there's kind of a
280.
lot.
It's 280, but yeah. So
Well, you can also do a wild card into the qualifying.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be the route that Liam has to take.
Right.
Because, you know, I think Draper and Fernley and what's Cam Norrie's ranking? I think he's in the top 100, isn't he? Yeah, 91. So Draper, Fernley, Norrie should be fine in terms of just their ranking being good enough. All depends on what happens in the next few weeks. Of course, I know. Billy Harris might be all right as well. Let's have a look. Coco Gauff has won the first set.
Yep.
Where's Billy Harris ranked? 105. So, yeah, he's there or thereabouts, but maybe he needs to get a few more wins to get that top 100. But of course, you've got the Wimbledon, you've got the grass court season as well. Anyway, Coco Gauff has won the first set 6-1. Probably, maybe just trying to serve it out there, and those set points coming and going will cause a small doubt. Let's have a look at some of the stats. 12 winners off the racket of Coco, 6 off the racket of Emma. That might surprise us, even if Coco's won that first set comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
Emma only winning 47% of her first serves and 38% of her second. Yeah, that's probably the biggest difference between the two, especially looking at the first serve where Coco's winning 75% off that.
Yeah, I mean, and even if she doesn't get that hold, it's an ugly set. So, but I mean, I'm not here to knock on Raducanu here. Coco.
What's been happening in Paolini? What do we know about that? Did someone say something in the live chat?
She just won it.
Okay.
Paolini did just win it. It seems that there is some good crowd entertainment. A lot of
I see.
cheering.
Maybe Ostapenko said or did something, and then the crowd have obviously reacted to their Italian favorite.
Danielle Collins and Svitolina are just getting underway.
Cool.
And Offner and Cerundolo are middle of the second set.
Cerundolo must have won that first set, surely.
Yep. I mean, Offner has made a quiet comeback in terms of just getting back on the scene and actually doing damage straight away. You know, he's always a guy that, can play well on the surface.
Yeah.
Wouldn't say
Saw him in Madrid a few weeks
really
ago.
love. Yeah. I wouldn't say I particularly love watching him play, but yeah, he's done well.
So, yes, this bottom half where so Paolini will play Schneider and Stearns will play, the winner of Svitolina or Collins. Yeah, so one of those 5 players is going to be in the Rome final. And maybe it's, Paolini and Svitolina are the sort of solid names with the solid pedigree. Paolini's has grown obviously a lot in the last 12 months or so.
Right.
But then there's the firecrackers, Collins, Stearns, and Schneider.
Yeah, Schneider. I mean, it seems like she's getting more accustomed, just like even that match against, Iga. I was going to bring this up, John, when we were talking about Sabalenka too. Just feels weird to talk about how Sabalenka, like, she's getting tested, but she comes through the battles, and it's like match after match she does that. Whereas for Iga, even over the last 3 weeks, like, that's where I talk about that Schneider match, losing a tiebreak, after winning a first set, I think it was 6-0 or 6-1. And, Sabalenka is tested, down set points against Kostyuk and, like, finds ways. That's like, I think that's let's say it's not like an evolution. It's just like, it's different from what we've seen in the past in terms of Iga finding ways to scramble out of, situations kind of despite the surface. and having like maybe more of that like mental edge and that experience. But that's the only thing that's been a little bit more concerning for me this clay season, I'd say, in terms
For
of
Iga, you
anything
mean?
else. Yeah, for Iga, just like not coming through in those like maybe more difficult situations.
I think every loss that she's having is sort of just gets a little bit more concerning. Because they're either coming earlier or against players like someone like Ayala, for example, is not someone that I would expect Iga to struggle against.
Right.
Or they're coming earlier, or they're coming on a surface where she's dominated her opponent in the past. Or, it's someone also like Daniel Collins. I thought Daniel Collins was out of form before this tournament.
Right.
And yet, so each loss. There is another thing with kind of sort of veering off towards Sabalenka. Two things. First of all, if she wins Rome, Sabalenka, do we then make her the favorite for the French Open?
That's what I'm saying. The
thing is, if she won Rome beating Iga en route, even if Iga got to the final and lost to Sabalenka in the final, for example, that might actually help Sabalenka propel herself more in terms of being the favorite. The fact that she won't be playing Iga if she does end up winning the title. But a near perfect clay season with a final in Stuttgart and wins in Madrid and Rome.
That's what I'm saying. It's like what test has she not really passed yet? And what makes you think that Iga is going to show up? For me, I might be a junkie and a believer.
Well, there is an Iga RG factor, and that's what we're
exactly
largely basing her on in terms of still being the favorite. Because if it was just something else, if there was no Iga RG history, but we just thought she was the best player on clay, then she would not be going in as favorite. But we're not a million miles away from the Rafa situation. Now, we are a million miles away in terms of Rafa winning 14 RGs, but let's go back 10 years, 12 years, 14 years when Rafa had won 4, 5, 6 French Opens. And we would go in and he would have a terrible build-up and we would doubt him. And then he would go and pull off the RG factor. As Zverev once said, his balls just had that extra 10% more pop on Philippe Chatrier, or at least that's how it felt. And so we're sort of doing the same thing with Iga right now. We don't want to get made look silly like Rafa used to make us look silly 10 years ago, for example, 12 years ago, when he would sort of, have a few losses, maybe in Madrid in particular, and sort of go, oh, okay, he's not had the best clay court season. He only won Monte Carlo or he only won Rome. And we don't want to do that with Iga, I think. So that's the thing. One thing I want to add to Sabalenka, though, Brenner, is I had a conversation with her biomechanics coach last interview last September, just after she won the US Open, Gavin McMillan.
Okay.
And one thing that struck me from our hour-long conversation was his reflection on the French Open as a whole and the French Open loss that she had to Mila Andreeva. I was kind of surprised that the season that she had, winning the 2 hard court slams, missing Wimbledon through injury, so many other things, of course, so many good things, but 1 or 2 sort of, painful things as well for Arena. I didn't think about the French Open I wasn't lamenting it from her side. Probably I would have lamented more Wimbledon, just the fact that she got that injury in Berlin and wasn't able to play a tournament that I think she's destined to win one day. And yet I can see all smiles between Mark Petchey and Emma Raducanu there. And yet he was very keen to sort of go, that's one that got away. She was sick. And I get it in terms of the circumstances, because a couple of points either way she goes through. But I'm just looking at that French Open going, Iga's winning this. So, I don't look at that in the same way. But he was very keen to say, no, we were pissed off by how things went at the French Open. Because we think she has a French Open win in her, basically. So,
right. No, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And it tells you a lot about kind of the preparation. I'd say the attitude towards it. Of course, it is a major. But I mean, look, everyone on the channel knows my stance on, Iga, and I do agree. I think she should come out here and get a few matches under her belt, and then it's like, okay, what's stopping her? But I'm saying from people who are just seeing the sport on paper and maybe very new to the sport, you're thinking like, what's not to love about Sabalenka's opportunity this upcoming year? So
yeah, I just think for Sabalenka, she's the one every year that could. I know it's a huge ask. It's it's only been done once, like in the last half century by
Right.
Steffi Graf, but she's the one player on tour because she can on three of the four slams. Possibly she goes in as favorite in each of the three of the four. It's just Roland Garros where she doesn't. So, but even Roland Garros, she's second or third. So she's the one, and she's also been, Australia's always been a pretty good hunting ground for her. It has the last 2 or 3 years. So at the beginning of every calendar year, it's like, if she wins Australia, we are on the journey, at least. It may well come to an end at some point, as it has done at the French Open, for example, the last 2 years. But we do go on that journey with Arena. And obviously not this year because, of course, she famously lost that final to Madison Keys. So Madison Keys, technically speaking, is on the journey. But I do expect it to end in about 3 weeks from now, but we'll see. Maybe she's lifting that Roland Garros trophy.
I know. It's upon us quite soon.
Yeah, Sunday, of course. Sunday start. I like the Sunday starts personally.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
I think it's just Wimbledon now that's not, because Australia started with a Sunday start this year.
Yeah. So it seems like Coco responded with a pretty quick hold. And she actually just misses this overhead attempt, but it actually goes long. So it doesn't matter, but shares a smile.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just seeing the replay there. Yeah, that's funny.
Wimbledon conversations. Trabujo. Is that how we're pronouncing his name?
Trabujo, I think, would be the sort of Spanish person. Yeah.
Those will be fun conversations. Just a lot more prospects, a lot more opportunity there.
Yeah. If it's I think for Keys, well, maybe not. But I still think, if depends on fitness and form. But at least she doesn't have that Grand Slam pressure anymore.
100%. That definitely changes things.
Yeah, and I think it changed in her case because I think she'll still be very motivated, especially at Wimbledon. I think that's sometimes the Grand Slam pressure can be a good thing, and losing it in a way can be a bad thing. I'm thinking of Dominic Thiem and maybe one or two others that got that one Grand Slam, and then that was in the end it for them. But there were others. Arina Sabalenka is the perfect example of it. But I think Madison Keys now can go into every Grand Slam now going, oh, I could make the semis here. I could make the final. I could win this. And and the closer she gets to it, the more determined she'll get. But also, she won't quite have that anxiety of not having got over the line before.
Right. And Emma gets herself out to a 40-15 lead.
Forehand there from Coco, doing what her forehand sometimes does. I find that her forehand, if it does fail, it normally fails in a slightly different manner. But there she was trying to get some nice angle on that forehand cross court that just went wide.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of some of this forehands early in the rally, she's kind of leaning off of, and I think that's giving her maybe more of an opportunity to put topspin on it, which makes it a safer ball. It's just an interesting, mechanics on that forehand. Anyway, 40-30. Yeah, I mean, now that I'm kind of looking at it more, you can see kind of more of the open stance type of forehand she's using.
Mm-hmm.
But good hold in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
She's all smiles, is Emma. I mean, even when she lost that first set 6-1, you can see that there's a pretty good vibe between her and Mark Petchey and her, just general at the moment.
Yeah.
Which I think can help her as well. And who knows, it might well help her get back into this match.
Right.
How is Daniel? I think I saw Svitolina get an early break.
Yeah, I was going to give us an update. Early break for an early break. So we're back on serve 1-all.
Are you okay for 5 minutes on your own, Brenner?
Yes.
Cool. I'll be back in 5.
Of course. All right, people, you know what to do. Fire away in the chat. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. Bring up any conversations regarding tennis, but we'll use this little stoppage here to give a little rundown on what's happened today, what we got for the rest of the day, or just the right now. But Cerundolo up a set and a break, serving at 4-3. He's going against Sebastian Offner. And then Danielle Collins and Svitolina are 1 apiece on serve, 30-all. Today's been, exciting though. ADM continues his streak of more wins at every tournament, and Tommy Paul came through a good clash against Thomas Mahash. Ended up beating him in 3 in 2.5 hours. That's such a physical battle here in slow conditions. Tommy Paul loves the conditions here in Rome. I wouldn't say he's underrated on clay, but has his is able to use the conditions to his advantage in a sense. So yes sir, I'm here. All right. So we are back here. Coco serving at 1-2 in the second set. I'm stepping in on that second serve. And we got a backhand exchange. Emma runs around the backhand to hit a big inside-out forehand, but it looked like it went longer into the net. Couldn't really see in that shade. That's another thing that people are discussing kind of the last 2 weeks in terms of Madrid and now Rome is some of the shadows, how frustrating they are. What does that mean for growing our game? Yeah. It's just part of it, I guess. Obviously, I don't love it, but I think the architecture and, some of these builders have gotten better. So now it's really hard to see the court, but Coco Gauff rips a backhand winner down the line for 30-15. Does Raducanu ever beat a top 5 player? I'm going to go with her run. Just going to say yes. But I'm not a Raducanu fanboy, so I don't really know. Let's see. Now we got 40-15. How much do I hate the shadow? Yeah, like I said, I mean it's not pleasing to the eye by any means, but unfortunately I can't really change it. So I'm just gonna do my best to watch what I can, and that's what I think is funny about tennis. You watch enough, you kind of have an understanding of heights and spins and how people are hitting the ball. So you kind of have an idea of their game plans. You might have a better idea of where to look. But Coco Gauff does get a quick hold. And as we speak, Yannick Sinner and Jesper de Jong are ready to walk on court. Okay. Raducanu beat Pegula last year. Yeah, definitely have to believe that Pegula was a top 10 player at that time. I'm watching Cerundolo and Offner as well, and I think he just had to stop because, I don't know, I'm watching on mute, but probably the ovation for Sinner was pretty loud as he walked on court. The all-black kit. So yeah, I mean, ad side serving is very, very difficult to see what's going on, but we're making do. We got an extended rally here at 15 love, forehand exchanges, getting some good shape. Emma steps in, flips the court with the backhand, goes to the drop shot. It is into the net. It's good to see her trying different things. I mean, Coco, like how frustrating it is to play a player who, makes every ball. And yeah, I mean, as John was mentioning earlier, like the amount of smiles and like positive vibes in the Raducanu camp is kind of, I don't even say insane, but it's let's say surprising and almost like empathetic. But yeah, Super Dave, that's exactly my point. Like she is just everywhere today. She gets there with so much time, and God, the core strength is off the charts. Like the way she's just able to turn on some of these balls and generate pace, counterpunch pace. It's fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, she just really uses her body to create some of this topspin. Kind of like fades away from it. Another good rally here, though. Kind of up the center. Each player kind of trading which kind of shot they're trying to hit. A little bit more junk ball oriented from Coco. She throws in like a chip forehand, and that backhand goes into the net for Raducanu. Empathetic. What does that mean? Well, the way that I was trying to use it, I don't even know if it came off correctly, but you feel happy that they're, sharing those emotions. So, I'm feeling for them. It seems like they're out here having fun today. Maybe they have some variety in the game plan, which is, maybe working out or not working out, and they're laughing about it. Or just the display that Coco's putting on. And, it was after that missed drop shot that they were having a good laugh. So, understanding that you got to try different things against Coco, one of the hottest players on the tour right now. Beats Iga. Should have pushed Sabalenka to a third in that Madrid final. So, you just got to catch it. Yeah, they're vibing for sure. So we got 2 break points now for Coco. Goes with like an inside-out backhand return. Gets up to a slice really quickly, and Raducanu pushes that chip long. So Coco does get the break. And apologizes. Probably not necessary, but she's able to track down a slice, which she might have mishit. And that was the reason for it. So Cerundolo will serve for the match. And Svitolina and Collins have played a lot of tennis so far. 20 minutes in, just 1-2. Svitolina on serve. Just looking here to break down some more results that happened today. Jakob Mensik comes through against the master himself, Fabian Marijan, who actually broke Mensik, who was serving for the match, and then at least pushed it to a tiebreak, but it was Mensik who overtook there. And then Hubie Hurkacz, making that comeback. He has got a couple matches under his belt. A little bit of a letdown in that second set, but made up for it, and gets a breadstick to finish it off. John,
What have I missed?
As I told the chat, just some more smiles from the Raducanu camp, and it was after a missed drop shot attempt, so maybe they're just laughing about how good Coco's been in terms of her court coverage today. Maybe it's like the variety in the game plan, but yeah, very upbeat, very good vibes on court. But yeah, the break did come fairly routinely.
Who is fourth favorite? Such a peculiar question, I know, but bear with me.
Yeah.
Who is fourth favorite, assuming there is a third favorite on the men's side for the French Open right now? That's assuming that you have Zverev at third.
Right.
And you might not.
I know I threw this out there somewhat recently. Oh, it was with it was with James on ATP Weekly, where we talked a little bit about Casper Ruud, what his status is ahead of the.
Yeah, so he's a contender for that sort of fourth.
Yeah,
favorite.
and that's probably exactly where I'd put him. And Zverev would be my third, which puts Djokovic outside that top four for me.
Yeah, and so you're putting Ruud as well ahead of Draper, for example.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think best of 5 plays into that in a sense.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I'm actually thinking, I wasn't thinking of that, but I think that's a fair point. I'm actually also thinking that Ruud has just beaten Draper in conditions that might favor Jack slightly more and Casper slightly less, whereas French Open, it's a street that Casper knows pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, and then those are like the next crop. I
don't mind if somebody says, look, I back Jack more for X, Y, or Z. Okay, fine. But
yeah.
Rune is a funny one because obviously he wins Barcelona and he sort of propels himself into this conversation and also propelled himself into the top 10 at that point. But he what was his situation in
Madrid?
Monte Carlo? He was ill. What happened to him in Madrid? Was he
Madrid,
injured?
He plays a set and then leaves. Cabali, it was.
Yeah.
He played a set and then essentially left the match after like a break in the second.
Yeah. And he also was ill. I know it was before Barcelona, but he was ill in Monte Carlo, I think, when he retired at the beginning of the second set against Nuno Borges, I think, wasn't it? And then in Rome, obviously he just lost that 3-setter. But again, even in that third set, Damien said that he thought that Rune was struggling physically. So
yeah. That's why Rune is like a box of chocolates. You know he has that peak level in him, that top 5 level in him, and it kind of can come out on any given day. But you just don't have the results, the form to back him. You know, like you said, Barcelona. I think he's back because he's barely just been on court this season, and it's not even like that physical. It's like illnesses are genuinely. Obviously, that does affect your body and like your physical state, but it's been like illnesses that has like killed his opportunity. But Emma saves a game point, or 2 of them.
Yeah, it's juice. Yeah, I'm not sure if Holger has signed up for Hamburg. He might be. I know he played it last year.
Yeah, knowing him, he'll show up. But yeah, you can't count him out once again over the best of 5. Like you have those opportunities to throw in the lap.
Yeah, he is signed up for Hamburg.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But it just gives you more time. Like you can show a little bit lower of a level and have time to recover.
That's the 10 players signed up for Hamburg. Obviously, the ones that are now winning matches in Rome, keep an eye on pull-out.
Cerundolo, Tommy Paul, and Musetti.
Yeah, Mensik as well.
Yeah, Mensik, yeah.
So,
a good amount of those.
Less so Sinner. I think Sinner's probably factored in the fact that he's not played much tennis this year. So, he's probably thinking, you know what, even if I go to the final in Rome, I might well still play Hamburg. I think he's ready to play 4 weeks of tennis. I think. And of course, they'd give him as much of a break as they possibly could in northern Germany. But yeah, Mensik is someone in particular, I think, on that list. Also, Cerundolo is also spoke about the amount of tennis he's played. Tommy Paul maybe less so. So yeah, but Musetti's obviously still in Rome as well. So one more win. I mean, Mensik has just won today. Maybe one more win after that. So if it's a quarterfinal or a semi-final in Rome, yeah. As I say, Tommy Paul, I think, just because he hasn't played a huge amount of tennis, clay ranking points as well. He's maybe also not necessarily thinking about winning the French Open title. So I think Paul and Sinner are more or less safe. Maybe if Paul wins the title in Rome, that might change something there. But
Right.
that's how I see it. Okay, back to Coco and Emma, because this game looks like it could be a bit of a dogfight, and it might well have a huge bearing on who, or at least how quickly this match is done, because Coco comes out of this holding and she's basically, within touching distance of the quarterfinal. But
yeah, it looks like the wind is like picking up. I don't think we've
I see that
at all. I haven't really noticed it, but now I am.
Yes, that's where it changes on the men's side. I was thinking about that when I was talking about Sabalenka winning Rome, for example. How would that change things? It changes more than say someone like a Draper or Runa, or I know Runa's out, but I'm just saying these players, because these players where you have 5-set doubts and players such as Alcaraz where you don't, becomes an extra factor. So winning Rome is like, yeah, but it's best of 3, blah, 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 blah. Whereas women, it's best of 3 everywhere. So it becomes sort of more significant.
Right.
As Coco does indeed get the hold. 1 hour, 10 minutes on the clock in the Italian capital. As much as the win might have an effect on these last few games, it might just be too late for Raducanu to get back into this affair.
Yeah, I was going to notice on that slice at deuce, like I could almost see the wind. I think it was behind Raducanu in terms of it, just going a little bit long, missing like kind of a routine slice. Maybe it was like
second serve return there from Emma. Listen, absolutely, she's got to go for it. I think she's even got to go for it on first serve sometimes, because this is a potential strength of Emma's. I say potential just because I don't necessarily always have the biggest amount of faith in her return, but it is there. But yeah, she's got to do better on that one. I think she's almost got to strike the ball even earlier.
Yeah. It was a little bit of a bailout, but like going so big, like hoping something happens.
But that second serve popped up quite nicely.
Right.
Yeah. Would you like to see 5 sets on the women's side?
It's unattainable, I think, John. Of course I would, but maybe I wouldn't. If that makes sense. And look, I don't think there's like
matches.
Yeah,
some matches I would have loved to have seen go 5.
Right.
Swiatek Jabeur, US Open Final 2022. Yeah, it was 2 sets to love, but it was so close in that second set that it sort of felt like the match was just getting underway.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
There's probably a way to do it. It's like kind of the first time. I mean, I obviously thought of it, but it's like, do we go to like, maybe we play 4 sets and then it's like a tiebreak to 10 is the 5th? Or I don't know. There's definitely many different theories we could pose, which would make it more interesting.
When you say it's unattainable, do you mean because of the just, having, 256 players playing best of 5 over sort of 15 days?
Right. It just doesn't work out physically.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear like many of their thoughts though as well.
Occasionally it pops up. I've generally heard pushback. I think Naomi Osaka certainly springs to mind. She was asked and she's like, no, I'd rather just play best of 3.
Do you know if she gave a reason for that?
No, I don't know if she did. She might have done, and I didn't grab that part. I just grabbed the fact that she didn't want to do it. There's all other trains of thought, like make it best of 5, but just the final, or just the second week, quarterfinals.
Right.
Onward.
Yeah. What's interesting is the Nothing Major podcast with Isner, and they pose like, because 2-week masters have been like a big topic of conversation recently. And they posed like, let's do a 5-set final. And
5-set final. Okay. Because I heard 5 sets for a 1-week masters, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But okay. So,
So here's my push
Go on.
back is the 2-week Masters. Yeah, they're slow and it takes a while to get kind of the bigger matchups. That's why Monte Carlo is fun, but it's like a double-edged sword. But I think sometimes like our players are a little bit more fatigued because they end up stacking matches in like the back half of the week.
Lovely break of serve. Sorry there.
Yeah,
For Coco.
that was
Nicely,
beautiful.
I mean, okay, Emma. Yeah, we'll have some regrets about what she did with that backhand, but Coco, nice anticipation there.
It was coming.
The match.
But yeah, I just kind of worry about the physical component to it come Sunday after a long 2 weeks. And it's more like the long, like 4 or 5 days because
it just seems a strange, and I like what some of the stuff that those guys do, and they make me laugh, and they can obviously come from but it just seems a strange sort of attempted solution to a problem that can be solved a little bit easier, as in like this 2-week Masters thing that just has come from nowhere and nobody seems to want it, and yet here it is. And a way of fixing it, rather than just going, you know what we should do is we should make it less. And I think Indian Wells maybe isn't too bad, where they sort of squeeze it into sort of 11 days, if you like, rather than 14. But you know, we see how cool Monte Carlo works out over an 8-day period. Yeah, and Stuttgart as well. Okay, it's a 500, I know, but you know, it's just stellar match after stellar match after stellar match.
Right.
And yet that's the simple solution. A 5-set final for also a scenario where we are generally trying to reduce the workload on players so they don't get injured so often. So that way, when people buy their tickets, they do see the best players in the world at their physical best. Yeah. I've been against the 2-week Masters ever since it sort of first emerged. I thought this is wild. I remember being in Madrid in 23 and players were being asked questions there and nobody was in favor of it. And people say, yeah, but you could have, but one of the problems that the players have mentally and physically, but mentally especially, is that they're away from home for 11 months of the year. So you stretch, you know, or they're away from home from 9 months of the year, 10 months. You stretch that into two weeks for a Masters. And plus you're practicing, you know, in a different manner, and you're there on site and you're living and breathing that tournament for as long as you're in it. It's beyond me. Coco Gauff here serving for the match and a place in the quarterfinals. 6-1-5-2. It's 15 all on her serve.
Yeah, I mean, what I've also heard, or what I think is interesting, I'm not sure which player or camp I got it from, but like the rest it's nice. I'm like, okay, like you have a day off, they're here and there, and that's awesome. But I guess like the rest is just very different as it would be if, you know, you were genuinely didn't have a match for a week or something like that.
You're preparing just like you would do at a slam. If you had an easy-ish win the previous day, you may well be practicing pretty intensely, especially earlier on in the tournament.
Yeah.
You may even come off the, you know, depending on how easy your match was and how you feel physically, you may leave the court and go straight to the practice court. We do see it quite a lot with players. Yep. You're certainly doing warm downs and warm ups and stretches and other things. And on that day off, you're doing absolutely everything you can to be physically ready for the next day. You know, there's obviously media duties. There's all sorts of things, PR stuff, sponsor stuff. It's work, and it takes a toll. Ooh, a lucky bounce there, but Coco's dealt with it actually best she can. But she's lost the point. Yeah, did you see how? I don't know if you saw how that skimmed off the what probably was the line.
Right. And they're still laughing. I mean,
yeah,
it's all in good fun today.
I just think that if this was fourth round at Wimbledon, they would not be laughing.
Right.
It's just because this is like a free hit, if you like.
Yeah. And Rome is it's a beautiful place. Not a bad place to spend a couple extra days. So. All right. Looks like Sinner got his early break.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Pavlidis went through. I think we mentioned that earlier. Svitolina still up a break on Collins, and Towson Andreeva yet to start. Got another match point here for Coco with her advantage. It's a lovely, by the way, save on the previous match point, that return that I highlighted from Emma. Just going to quickly, very quickly, guys, go over to the men's singles just to see some of the scores. Okay, so Hurkacz beat Giron. Yes, I thought. Yeah, and Sinner's got that break. Okay, back to the women.
Yeah, just like the approach slices have been really poor today from Emma.
Yeah, and Emma should
really
have
trying to nail the baseline.
She should have come into the net. She should
Yeah.
have come into the net off that, I think. Given her court position, given where every single thing on the court was, she's so far up in that point that she's just going to have an easy volley at the net. Anyway, match point here for Coco Gauff for a place in the quarterfinals where she'll play either Towson or Andreeva. Of course, it's going to be a second serve. Emma's got that return, but she's put that long sort of feast or famine there for Emma on the return, and that was the case there. All applause all round for Coco Gauff, who's comfortably through to the quarterfinals. 6-1, 6-2. Emma Raducanu's Italian run is at an end. Coco's is anything but. Coco, I think, will have her eyes on a potential run all the way to the final. Would that be her first appearance in an Italian Open final? I'm trying to think. Did she play? She lost to Iga, but I think that was probably the quarters last year. I don't think she's been in an Italian Open final before. I remember her being in the French Open final in 2022. So huge pedigree for Coco on this surface, but yet to win a big title on clay, either a 1000 or a French Open. Of course, she was in the Madrid final just recently. She does a little selfie. Emma walking off court. I don't think she'll be too despondent. Things could have gone better for her today. I think tactically she did okay. She just didn't execute really so well. Some of those returns in particular. Perhaps some of her in-game play. And I'm just thinking of that penultimate point there that really she should be winning. But I don't think that would have made a huge amount of difference. Just the golfing class on this surface, for me, is shown up by that scoreline. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much she could do. I think we saw a little bit of that in terms of trying to take that second serve, return super early, hit it big. She was trying to make use of the drop shots and putting Coco in maybe some more uncomfortable positions. But like I said, kind of at the start of this match, like Coco Gauff just checking all the boxes right now, doing all like the simple things correctly. And then it's the forehand that like wasn't leaky at all today. She's hitting it with a lot of topspin and kind of just playing more conservative tennis in a sense. And then I think when she needs to, kind of relying on defense and instincts that come to her quite, conveniently. And, she just does a good job applying scoreboard pressure, making you play those extra balls. And ultimately, there's not much to show for it for Raducanu on the scoreboard.
Right. As I said before as well, Coco will be playing the winner of Towson against Andreeva in what is a pretty stacked section where I think we have 3 contenders for the title in Rome, but probably 3 contenders for the title in Paris as well in a few weeks in the form of Aryna Sabalenka, the world number 1 by some stretch. Mira Andreeva, who's, arguably been the second best player on tour this year. I know Madison Keys won in Australia and had that unbeaten stretch at the beginning of the year. But certainly in terms of consistency, I would say Mira Andreeva probably just eclipses the American. And Coco herself, who is in the quarterfinals. I would be surprised if none of those 3 are in the final. It'll be one of those 3, I imagine. Of course, Bianca Andreescu and Kim Wen-jeng and Clara Towson and Marta Kostyuk will all want to have their say. And maybe Marta is the next taxi on the rank. I think that her form on this surface has been pretty good. And Marta as well had a pretty tough loss to Aryna in Madrid recently. But I'm looking at this section of the draw, Ghosty. Let's see how the Wild West section that you're referring to there, where Peyton Stearns is in it. I have no idea who's making the final from that bottom half, but this top half, it seems to be pretty stacked. And Coco has certainly done her chances no harm in the way she dispensed of Emma today. The forehand issues for Coco were there just occasionally the double fault would rear its head, but by and large she dealt with that pretty well. You would think on the slower clay as well, she can maybe sort of do something with the forehand in that it's not like she needs to always attack on it, perhaps like she would do, particularly on grass, but also on a faster hard court. But yeah, as for Emma, I said this in the preview. I think it was already a good tournament for her. Whatever happened today, you could see the smiles between her and Mark Petchey, and I can see that relationship continuing a bit longer in terms of him being on the coaching team there. It was a sort of a free hit for her today. She goes out. She'll go and try and get some wins in Paris in a couple of weeks and then look forward to the grass court season in terms of Emma's situation.
Yeah. I mean, probably not too many big expectations coming in, but as you said, I think this is I guess the tournament itself is a win for Raducanu, and do what you can, keep building, try and get past those earlier rounds, and then have a little bit more I guess freedom in the game plan when you go up against players of this caliber.
Indeed. All right, Brenna, big thanks for today. It was a short-lived affair, around about 1 hour and 15 minutes, I think, altogether. Coco Gauff safely through, as I said, where she'll await the winner of Clara Towson and Mila Andreeva, which is coming up later on today. But yeah, big thanks, Brenna.
Of course. I enjoyed it. Cheers, John.
Thank you. And to everybody else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.